Before I start, I just want to say, as a one-man band, I work alone, I work from home, there is only me, I do everything. It's really nice to come and see people and to interact. I don't know whether many of you are in the same boat. Exactly, it's just nice to get out and get about and just, put the world to rights with people generally. So now I'm going to talk about my favourite subject, me. As you can see, I am a magazine publisher, which you all know. TV star, we'll come on to that. Community volunteer, so I do try and put a bit back into the community. And I was a pool champion. Anyway, normally when I do talks like this, I talk about my younger life and I put up stupid photos of me when I was younger. So I won't be doing any of that today. Scary. So that's 15-year-old me. 15-year-old me didn't have a career plan. 15-year-old me didn't have a plan about anything. 15-year-old me thought school was a bit of a joke. I actually thought I was there to entertain other people. It turns out I wasn't. I left school, I am slightly ashamed to say, especially as I'm now a trustee of an academy of schools. I left with virtually no qualifications because I just, pardon my French, I pissed about. And I know I'm on video. Don't show it the kids. So I had a number of jobs. I started off as a painter and decorator. Somebody said you'll always need painters and decorators. It's probably true. But I was working for a one-man band and I didn't see a paintbrush except for cleaning them. So I stood at the bottom of ladders, I sanded down windowsills, I cleaned brushes, etc. But I didn't really do much painting because it was a government training scheme and it was a bit of slave labour, and I don't blame the bloke, and I still see him about now. I worked as a travel agent for a couple of travel agents in Walsall. One was called Pickford's Travel, if you may remember that if you're as old as me, and then World Wallet Travel, again both working introduction schemes or work placements, whatever you call them. So a bit of slave labour. In fact, I went back to Pickford's Travel after completing my 6 months thinking I'd done really well, asked them if there was a job. They said, no, unfortunately, we haven't got any vacancies. So I went back in to see them a few weeks later, and there was another guy sitting in my seat doing my job, but they hadn't got any vacancies. So, total change of career. I was invited to go for an interview at a meat wholesale depot back of East Park in Wolverhampton. I remember the interview well because the guy said, you look a fit and able, capable chap. You've got the job. When can you start? And I said, well, I'm out of work. I can start Monday. He said, right, we'll see you at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, 4 o'clock in the morning. So we do 5 on a Tuesday and you have a line on a Wednesday, you can do 6 o'clock. So I did that for a few years. Because we started so early, we finished early. So I did a bit of window cleaning. That didn't end well, as you can see. In 1987, I was a bit of a pool player and I entered the individual competition for Wolverhampton pool players. Most people entered it and somehow I won it. I actually was invited to play. There's an American pool player called Jim Rempe, big star of years gone by. I was invited to go and play against him. Unfortunately, the games that preceded the one I was supposed to play took too long, so I didn't get a chance. But that would have been my claim to fame, that I played Jim Rempe. Then I got into the world of newspapers, and again, still working in the meat trade, finishing early, saw a job advertised for door-to-door canvassers. So went along, did the interview, and it was like taking money for, candy from a baby, as they say. Most people had the paper at that point. Most people either had it delivered or bought it from the shop. So if they bought it from the shop, you were offering them free delivery charge, you were offering them a gift after so many weeks. And it was really money for old rope. People were signing up. Commission was brilliant. I was paying for holidays with it. It was great. So much so that they asked me to join the company full time. So I joined the circulation department, or newspaper sales as it was then known, which basically meant I was responsible for making sure that the sale of the newspaper was at the highest possible point. So the advertising reps could go around to businesses and sell advertising and say, we sell 221,000 papers a night. Fantastic. They also delivered at the time 500,000 chronicles per week. I'm going to give you some figures now. Here's one I prepared earlier, which will show you. It's just a little thing that I did a few years ago, but I probably haven't printed enough out. You can pass them round. Just a trajectory to show you where newspapers would end up. Some have already gone to the wall. Some have stopped being published. Oh, gone too far. As you'll see from that graph, in a few years, a lot of those newspapers will cease to exist if my predictions are right. It's tough out there. People don't read papers. I'm sure you can all envisage why people don't read papers. They haven't got the time. The internet has now come along. News is 24/7, and newspapers just in general have shrunk. My daughters don't read newspapers. I'm sure if you've got children, you'll probably say the same. They don't buy newspapers. They don't read them anymore. Anyway, let's go back one. So I was very lucky to meet some interesting people in my time. Can you recognise this gentleman? His hair's a bit shorter now. Frank's a well-known West Bromwich Albion fan. Sorry, I'm a big Wolves fan. They were in a relegation battle at the time. I think it was the early 2000s, and we had some. I think they were playing Crystal Palace on the last game of the season. I got some posters made, as you can see. Frank's holding one up there. They did win, they did stay up, and Frank's holding that, and that picture was on the back page of every national newspaper the following day, so claim to fame. So we decided to have that framed and invited him to come down to the newspaper and presented him with it, and apparently it's hanging up in his toilet now somewhere or something. In 2007 I moved to Burton-on-Trent. I got headhunted by somebody you'll probably know, Gary Matthews, who was then the managing director of Staffordshire Newspapers, and I was asked to be the group newspaper sales and promotions manager. So it was a bit like that programme Life on Mars, where you go back in, the police thing where you go back into the 70s. It was a lot like that. So I had to drag them kicking and screaming into the 21st century, which was fun or something. So I was looking after papers, Nuneaton, Stafford, Uttoxeter, Burton, and the Black Country Bugle, which I found out the other day is now £3.15 a copy. Unbelievable. After 7 very happy but challenging years at Burton, I got made redundant because the industry's shrinking, people are being got rid of. We've all seen what's happened to the Express and Star recently, moving out of their premises in Wolverhampton, Queen Street into an office block, Mander House. So it was inevitable one day I was going to leave. So I decided, much to the disgust or terror of my wife, that I was going to start a magazine. So I started in February 14, the Wentzfield magazine. And my wife says, what if it doesn't work? And I said, well, what if it does? He said, okay, we'll give it a go. We'll see how it pans out. By October, I'd started the Bilston magazine. I'm not going to hold them all up. You get the picture. So 5 years later, I got 5 magazines. Unfortunately, then I got bowel cancer, which was a bit of an inconvenience. So that sort of stopped me expanding my empire. Then I was asked to manage Bilston Town Centre. So I did that for 7 years and packed that up last July. because I'm 60 next year, thank you, as the young lady said, you don't look it. Beautiful. Despite what some people will tell you, and there's a feeling out there that, you know, print is dead, and I think Steve mentioned it's in decline. It certainly is, but it isn't dead, and there is still, you know, there's still a lot of benefit from print advertising. And I said at the last networking meeting that I'd give you some figures. I'll read this out, but you can probably all see it. Print advertising delivers a strong return on investment, with newspapers and magazines generating £2.43 for every pound invested over 3 years. I'm not going to keep reading all the rest. It speaks for itself. Also, 82% of customers trust print ads the most when making purchasing decisions. 61% of readers trust newspaper ads compared to 42% online. I don't make this up, you know, I got it all off AI. It's very good. Response rates, likewise, direct mail campaigns achieve an average of response of 9%, significantly higher than 2.1% rate for email campaigns. So Andrew would like that one, obviously, because he does leaflets. Thank you. Market projections in the UK print advertising spending was expected to reach approximately 1.27 billion, with newspaper advertising accounting for 0.8 billion. So if you take that away from that, that's what I've got. I wish. A case study, this is the big one, I suppose. Again, I'm not going to read it all through. Canadian neuromarketing firm did an exercise measuring using three metrics: attention, persuasiveness, and ease of understanding. In all three cases, direct mail was found to be easier. The big headline figure there is 70% higher than those exposed to digital adverts. So there's the proof if you needed it. As I mentioned, I am a community volunteer. That is the Wensfield Canal Festival, which takes place every August, which I help to organise with others. That's Phil Bateman, councillor, Neil Jackson, the DJ. We do that by the Nickelodeon Bentley Bridge, if anybody knows where that is. We also help with the Christmas lights switch on, and in 2016 I founded Wensfield in Bloom. So there's lots of flowers and plants, and the place looks prettier, which is all down to me. Well, it was. I am, as mentioned, I went back to Aldersley. I felt like I needed to give a bit back because I wasn't the best pupil. So I'm now repaying for all my ills. So we have 5 schools in Wolverhampton, and 4 in Wolverhampton and 1 in Telford. And I help to create policy and unfortunately sit on panels when young people have been very naughty and we have to remove them. So we do permanent exclusions, but it's something different, something interesting, and I feel like I'm giving a bit back. And finally, that's my other half. No, I wish. She's not here, so I can say that. So this programme was recorded in November 2019, and it went out on the 27th of March 2020, which was the day that Boris Johnson closed the country. So I'd got a plan to have all my friends and relatives round to watch it together, blah, blah, blah. And that tosser ruined it all. So yeah, lockdown week. So unfortunately, I came second in that episode. I was beaten by an accountant from Birmingham. She was very good at the numbers, but lovely with it. And that was actually Rachel Riley's last programme before she had her first baby. It was the last episode. So there was a bit of a theme going on during the day, and I detected it. They were talking obviously a lot about babies and so on and so on. And when it came down to the countdown conundrum, the word, if you've watched it, the word at the end, I pressed my buzzer after about 9 seconds because I realised it was going to be something connected to her giving birth, and the word was offspring. But I'd lost by then. So that's me. Have you got any questions, or would you like to form a queue to book an advert?
Does anyone have any questions?
That's it then, all made perfect sense.